By the looks of Sister Mary Sunshine standing up here, we'll start with a moment of silence followed by the pledge, please. Thank you. I
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment on agenda items only? Seeing none, we'll move on to assessment, corrections to the duplicate. Deb?
We have no additions and no subtractions.
Wow. Well, thank you, Deb, for that little glow of sunshine. Public hearing on behalf of the Borough of East Stroudsburg for input and comment of the modification number 2 fiscal year 2023 Community Development Block Grant Program. Jennifer Strock, Executive Director of the Monroe County Redevelopment Authority. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you. So I'm here this morning. The Monroe County Commissioners oversee the redevelopment authority oversees the administration of the Community Development Block Grant on behalf of the Monroe County Commissioners. We are requesting a modification on behalf of the East Stroudsburg Borough. We had done a first modification, which did not go through. So we're doing a second modification to our Community Development Block Grant fiscal year 2023. So instead of doing the ADA ramps, of which 19 were requested, only 4 were approved, the borough has decided to move forward with doing a different street and road project. The street and road project that the improvements are being made to will be Maple Ave and Berwick Heights Road. Now, I will say that this street and road activity has already been approved in the FY24 CDBG grant. So it's just taking the money and moving the FY24 back to FY23, doing this project first and then doing a modification on the FY24 once they come up with another project. So we're requesting, the borough has held its public hearings. Last night, the borough has signed their resolution, and now we're bringing it to the commissioners to see if there's any comments, concerns, or questions as we look to get approval of a resolution to modify the FY23 Community Development Block Grant, changing the activity from housing rehabilitation in the amount of $129,302 to a street and road project completing Maple Ave and Berwick Heights roads in East Stroudsburg Borough.
And it's my understanding that Maple Ave and Berwick Heights are considered feeder roads, therefore thus they're eligible, correct? Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you. Announcement of the 2025 Emergency Service Grant Program proposals. Kwanzaa Smith, Grants Manager. Welcome, Kwanzaa.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning.
I am very, very excited to announce that the Monroe County Commissioners, obviously through the Office of Fiscal Affairs and Grants, will apply for the fiscal year 2025 Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG. It's a competitive grant funding opportunity offered by Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. Emergency Solutions Grant is a federal grant providing funding to assist with rapid rehousing for homeless persons, street outreach, homelessness prevention, and emergency shelter activities. The program is authorized by McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act as amended by the Homeless Emergency Assistance and Rapid Transition to Housing, also known as HERTH Act of 2009. Monroe County will be applying for $510,560 from DCED with a dollar-for-dollar match from subrecipients for a total of $1,021,120. The subrecipients for the ESG grant include Family Promise of the Poconos, RHD Street to Feed. I knew you would be happy about that. Stroudsburg Wesleyan, Safe Monroe, the Pocono Area Transitional Housing Path, and a new partnership with Pike County Human Services. All of the agencies have applied through a request for proposal process to be included in the Monroe County ESG collective application. The details include Family Promise, which is serving Monroe County, has requested $82,450 for their emergency shelter. RHD Street to Feet is requesting $77,828 for street outreach, and then an additional $101,828 for emergency shelter for their day center and the coordinated entry site for the homeless. Stroudsburg Wesleyan Church, the county's only cold weather shelter, is requesting $60,000 for emergency shelter. Safe Monroe is requesting $15,000 for their emergency shelter. Path is requesting $105,000 to assist with rapid rehousing. And then Pike County Human Services is requesting $20,000 for rapid rehousing and an additional $30,000 for the homeless prevention component. And then the fiscal year 2025 ESG application is proposing to serve 40 households served through street outreach funds totaling $77,828 for case management services and essential services, 514 households served through emergency shelter, funds totaling $259,278 for operations and essential services, 45 households served through rapid rehousing, funds totaling $125,000 for financial assistance, case management, and rental assistance, and then additional 10 households served through homelessness prevention, funds totaling $30,000 for financial assistance, case management, and rental assistance. Go Monroe County. Thank you.
Alfonso, if you have to make that presentation in person to DCED, I'm sure we'll get the money.
We definitely will.
Sure. We're going to address that in July 2nd meeting, just for the record.
Thank you. Old business. Approve the minutes of the 6/4/2025 Commissioners meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Amend motion M2025-115 dated 4/16/2025, changing grant expense from $2,247 to $2,004 and grant revenue from $2,247 to $2,004 with a total decrease of $364,997.
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Proclamations and certificates. We have Trent Carollo for an Eagle Scout. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. New business, personnel. We'll go with personnel agenda and approve requests for additional hours in the sheriff's office. And then we'll go also include electronic financial transactions A through C. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Travel authorization. Approve and ratify a travel request for adult probation, conservation district, juvenile probation, and veterans affairs. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Area Agency on Aging, ratify approval of the internship agreement with the Pennsylvania State University on behalf of its Penn State Scranton campus to provide practical experiences in a variety of degree programs with a term to expire 6/6/2030. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Assessment, approved professional service agreement with Tyler's Technologies to perform statistical reassessment and sketch verification services for county reappraisal reassessment in the amount of $2,088,540, subject, of course, to our solicitor's review. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? One of the reasons that we are taking this on is that the common level ratio is continuing to fall. And what happens is that people are able to come in and what is the common level ratio currently for?
As of today, it's 50.1. As of July 1st, it's going to 46.1.
Right. So in other words, people can come in and appeal and get a 54% discount. So it shifts the burden to those that shouldn't have it. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Children and Youth Services approve adoption assistance agreement for CM. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Commissioner's Office approve the budget adjustment report dated 6/18/2025 totaling $674,933. $674,933. Aging is $6,127 of that amount. The sheriff is $5,400 for bulletproof vests for 1 deputy and 6 bailiffs. Children and youth account for $427,400. And CSBG is $235,576,000. And that services, Catholic Social Services, Pike County Development Center for Employment, Salvation Army Rental, Case Management, Pocono Services for Families, Stroud Regional Parks, Family Promise of Monroe County, PATH, Resources for Human Development, TV Ecumenical Pantry, Salvation Army Energy Direct, Safe Monroe, Pike County Human Services, and Meals on Wheels. Then we have for tax assessment, $100, pay for maintenance agreement on a new plotter for mapping, and voter registration is need of a shredder for $230, bringing the total to $674,933. Approved change order number 2 with Veridontis totaling $15,000 due to additional right-of-way, utilities, roadway designs, and bog turtle mitigation coordination activities at Bridge 12. Ratify and approve the chief clerk to advertise the following. A public hearing on behalf of the Borough of East Stroudsburg for input and comment on the fiscal year 2023 CDBG program modification per redevelopment authority request. 2025 Emergency Service Solutions ESG grant request for proposals. The 26-27 Children and Youth Needs Based Budget. Services for funding proposals for homeless assistance or HAP and Human Services Development Fund, HSDF. And add the following vendors to the county list of approved vendors in the district attorney's office, confidential counseling services, and ITS for the information technology for Illuminated Irrigation LLC. And approve the 2025-2026 fiscal year budgets as following. Children and Youth, $21,682,158. Area Agency on Aging of $3,846,665. Grants Administration Department, $257,603. State Food Purchase Program of $256,573. Human Service Development Fund, $94,507. Homeless Assistance Program of $50,195. Emergency Solutions Grant 2426 of $290,000, MCTA of $913,758, and CareerLink of $1,213,626 for a total of $28,605,085. This means a possible increase of the county share of $306,113. However, oftentimes that money is taken care of by additional funding from the state. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve Chairman John D. Christie to sign certification documents for the submission of the Emergency Solutions Grant for fiscal year 2025 application. Approve additional homeless assistance program HAP supplemental allocation in the amount of $2,264 for the fiscal year 24-25 to be allocated to the following: Pocono Area Transitional Housing, $566, Family Promise, $566, RHD, $566, and Salvation Army, $566 for a total of $2,264. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Information and Technology Services, approve modification to Ring Central for additional 35 additional local numbers for an increase of $35 per month, changing the total monthly charge from $11,531 per month to $11,566 per month. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Office of Emergency Management, authorize Fiscal Director Jennifer Barclay to electronically sign the local share grant contract in the amount of $35,000 for the period of 5/20/25 through 6/30/28 to complete the replacement of doors and frames at the Fire Training Grounds burn building. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Look forward to you signing that, Jen. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Capital Redevelopment Authority, adopt a resolution on the Community Development Block Grant fiscal year 2023 on behalf of East Stroudsburg Borough, with program changes in the amount of $129,302, adding Maple Avenue and Berwick Heights Road Improvement Project, and decreasing and deleting the Housing Rehab Program ADA Ramps and Curb Cuts Project. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Capital Purchase. Ratify the capital purchase report dated 6/18/2025 totaling $3,214. Those are for rolling shades in the MDJ office in Smithfield Township. And approve the capital purchase report dated 6/18/2025 totaling $8,189.65. Those are for bulletproof vests for 1 deputy and 6 bailiffs. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Computer Capital, approve the computer purchase report dated 6/18/2025 totaling $2,549.13. That is for a computer for the IT department and a printer for the Register and Recorder's Office. Is there a motion, please?
So moved. Oh,
Second.
okay.
First and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Miscellaneous. Commissioner Parker?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a statement.
Please.
Okay. Well, 2 meetings ago, I voted no on the U.S. flag and pride flag display to be put on the building for Pride Fest. And last meeting, a citizen took exception to it. And it seems like I did not articulate my position very well at the meeting 2 meetings ago. So I just wanted to read a clarifying statement so my position's clear, and I'll do that now. Last year, I voted to approve the use of Courthouse Square and nearby county lots for use by the Pocono Pride Coalition for the 2024 Pocono Pride Festival. I was surprised on the Friday afternoon before the Sunday event to see the U.S. flag and pride flag hanging on the county administration building. The flag display was never discussed nor voted on by the commissioners, and I knew there would be objections to it from some county employees and county residents. I requested that in the future, we include the flag display as an item to be approved on the agenda. This year, we did include the flag display on the agenda for approval. While I'm happy to approve the use of the public square for events and rallies that I may or may not agree with, I stopped short of hanging a banner or flag supporting those events on the county government building. To me, hanging the banner or flag is tantamount to a county endorsement of the event and its activities, and the county has no control over the event nor the activities. I shared my concerns with the person who applied for permission to have the commissioners hang the flag display, and we had a good discussion. I explained that if the flag display was included in the same motion as the property use permission, I would vote no on the motion. The applicant was understanding of my position, and the applicant suggested separating the flag display vote so I could vote in favor of the use of Courthouse Square and the nearby lots for the festival, and then vote no on the display. Based on that suggestion, that is what we did. I made the motion to approve the use of Courthouse Square and nearby lots for the Pride Festival and voted in favor of it. Another commissioner made the motion to approve the flag display. I would have seconded it and voted against it, but the chairman decided to second it. The majority position was stated that since we did not have a policy against putting flags, banners, or signs on the building, we had to put the flag display up. I interpreted this to mean that the public square now included the side of this building, and we didn't really have a choice about the flag display. Essentially, if we approved the use of Courthouse Square for an applicant, we must hang the provided flag, banner, or sign requested by the applicant on the administration building. I was surprised by the rationale, and although I respect the argument, I disagree with it, and I went on to vote no, as I had planned, and the motion passed 2-1. Let me apply our votes to another example. Over a month ago, we gave the Monroe County Republican Committee permission to use Courthouse Square for an event. If they had requested that the commissioners hang their committee banner on the administration building, I would have voted no. Based on my interpretation of the majority position, they should vote yes, but I'm not so sure that both would do that in this instance. Pick the group: pro-life, pro-choice, Democrat, Republican, gay, straight, no kings, or Tory. I will consistently vote no. But if either of the other two commissioners ever votes no, the county is exposed to a legal challenge because we've displayed certain groups, banners, signs, or flags while denying others. My solution is to not approve any, and while the majority solution may be to approve all, I'm not confident we would consistently do that. To respond to the assumption about my decision on the U.S. flag, I would not vote to display it on the side of the county administration building. We have a flag on a pole on top of this building. The flag that was put on the side of the county administration building on May 31st and the manner in which it was displayed appeared to be inconsistent with the U.S. Flag Code and Executive Order 10834. I believe whenever the county displays the U.S. flag, we should strive to display it in a manner consistent with the rules set forth in those two documents. I would like to close by saying if anyone ever has a question or disagrees with how I vote on an issue, my door is open. Feel free to stop by the office to see me or call my cell phone at 570-656-9232. I like to hear opposing viewpoints, and I'm glad to meet or speak with anyone. David C. Parker, Monroe County Commissioner.
Thank you, David. Sharon?
The other, one thing I wanted to add to the flag situation was, in doing research, we have found that when you hang the flag the way we were hanging them, it was dangerous. The wind was ripping it down at certain times. The American flag was getting crumbled up on the ground. There were all kinds of things. So actually, hanging it was inappropriate to begin with anyway. So that was important too, once we did some research.
Good. I have to say that don't forget Community Night is May 5th next year. Is there any public comment?
Actually, it's
Dulce,
Dulce from the borough. What?
please come up to the
Oh, okay.
podium.
It's not me.
Can you, eh, can you explain this to me because I'm not familiar with it? The assessment, how would that work?
What we call a paper assessment, because we did an assessment 7 years ago. So we have the pictures. We feel that we also have satellite technology that is able to pick up any changes to do a countywide reassessment. The only way that we can go out and do a reassessment on a property is if they have a permit. And sometimes townships are late in providing that information to the assessment office. So what this does is it is a countywide reassessment. And what we use are sales figures from 2 and 3 years ago.
It'll be 25, 26, 27.
So it would be 25, 26, and 27. And
So this is another reassessment like the one we had.
correct.
Okay,
And you understand why we have to do it. The common level ratio.
I understand. I just, that was a whole mess.
Well, it's different this time because we don't have to go out and take pictures of every property, and we have the information.
We will be visiting properties, though, not everyone, but based on the sketch verification. If the sketch verification shows there are changes there that we do not have, we may be visiting the properties that are coming up with discrepancies.
And when will it start?
When we sign the agreement, the start date would be August,
This year?
correct?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Jack Fawcett, trying to understand the Founder Street Bridge, is the job completed?
From what my understanding is, yes, Jack.
We still have silt barriers around the property. The guide rail posts have not been backfilled, which is a hazard. You know, so, I mean, it's been 1.5 years since the project's been done. We still have silt barriers.
We will contact the engineer, Bob, right? And we'll have, whether we have to contact Ekman, we will find out for you, Jack.
Right. I mean, it's
Huh? I understand.
a tire tripping over them.
Okay.
It's just a hazard. And I noticed the bridge surface itself is cracking. Right,
Okay.
you notice it.
I have not gone out to inspect that. I get to go to,
Well, you know, on the bridge troll, so
Yes.
I'm filling in. So it is cracking. It's certain when it rains and stuff, you can see the cracks in the surface.
again, we'll have the engineer go out and take a look at it, okay?
And been over 1 year, my wife had sent you a letter, John, and still no response to it.
And what we did was we put the materials that what we was in the contract down, so thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Pesh?
Teresa Pesh, I have 2 statements to make today. One's in regards to the pride flag that was flown a few weeks ago. So person that was here at the last county commissioner meeting, she texted me, she can't be here today. So I don't know if I can use her name, so I will not. But she said, we believe that only the United States flag and the Pennsylvania flag should be flown on the county administration building because it's a government building. And her words were said to me perfectly, only one flag represents us all. And 2, we don't really know what the new stripes and the circle mean on the pride flag. That's all the more reason not to fly it. So my second item is going back to this Monroe County Community Partnership for Gun Safety. As I did a few right to knows and I asked for the initial application for the grant. So what came back is the $50,000 grant that was signed for back in 2022. And I'm requesting that maybe we have a public meeting. And so this way the people can ask questions specific to this. Is I don't understand how, and a few of us don't understand how on the application, On page 5 of 37, of what I was told was the initial application. It says the Monroe County Office of the District Attorney is requesting $50,000 to create a gun violence prevention strategic plan through a comprehensive community needs assessment to accurately address the scope of the problem, contributing factors, investigative and prosecutorial capacity, and financial resources required to prevent gun violence. The funds will be used for the following: subcontract with consultant to complete community needs assessment on gun violence prevention, outline recommendations for required financial and personnel resources to improve investigation and prosecutions in Monroe County. So it's confusing why the $695,000 was given towards this grant that includes a survey to high schoolers throughout the district, when this grant reads about prosecutorial and investigative matters. So I'd just like to, like I said, I'm just requesting if we could have a meeting open to all people, and so there's clarification instead of me having to do 10 right to knows and not everybody knowing what's going on.
Thank you.
That, I'd like to also follow up with that.
While she's coming up, can I just clarify the pride flag? The one that hung on our building did not have the circle for the yellow background, just so you know. The other stripes are transgender and people of color. So just so you're aware, the ones that hang in the borough are the most up-to-date ones, have the circle.
Thank you. To piggyback on Teresa, I've gotten the up-to-date payouts up to May 30th of this grant.
Mhm.
That's mostly $500,000 of it is going to consultants and not the community. This last 2 months in April, Jacobson and Torino have invoiced $6,000 a week, 1 week, $5,000 the other, $3,700 on April 30th. Okay, and this last, the May payouts have also been invoiced. Jacobson, $3,700. Jacobson, $3,700 on 5/16. $3,700 on 5/23. $3,780 on 5/30. Where are the invoices? I asked for the invoices that tells me the scope of work, the hours that they work, any reimbursements, any expenditures that they had, and I haven't received them yet. And I was given a 30-day expansion request by Mr. Christine, and I don't understand why that's needed. If you already have the invoices, they have to submit an invoice to get paid, correct?
Yes,
So I would like, if you could expedite that, that would be great.
we'll take a look at it and find out what has been sent to you, and then we can consult back and
Thank you. And
get
I
back to you.
should have a meeting to discuss this.
Thank you.
Was Mr. Tolino supposed to be here today?
He's right there.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, great. I can't wait.
Anything else? Christine, nice to see you.
And
Jacob.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'll try and be quick. Good morning, Christine Bush, Senator Rosemary Brown's office. The senator had asked that I read a statement. So I'm just going to go right into it, and I'll try to be as quick as possible. Dear commissioners, I want to thank you for your continued leadership in prioritizing the safety and the well-being of our county. The state grant received for the Gun Safety Initiative is an important step, and I commend your efforts in taking proactive measures to protect lives. Gun safety is and should always be a non-controversial issue. That said, I believe it's important to acknowledge and address the growing concerns raised by constituents regarding the student questionnaire associated with this initiative. After personally reviewing the questions being asked in our school, I do share those concerns. I find many of the questions to be overly personal in nature, and I believe that there are more appropriate and productive methods of engaging students on these serious topics, methods that don't require probing our children for sensitive personal information. As I often say, two things can be true at the same time. We can support the goal of reducing gun violence and improving community safety while also recognizing that certain approaches like possibly these student surveys, may not be the best use of our time, resources, and children classroom experience. I want to again thank the county commissioners, community stakeholders, and all those involved in securing this grant and carrying out the serious work behind this initiative. Your commitment to addressing the complex and critical issue is appreciated. I remain available for continued dialogue on this matter and welcome any feedback.
Thank you. I once again will make the statement that the questions that have been asked follow along pretty much with every question that is on the PACE study that kids have been taking for over 15 years now. And that it is invaluable for services, social services, and the states, and as a commissioner, of the needs of the kids and what they're facing in schools. If you think about it, kids are oftentimes raised in schools. They spend more time in school than oftentimes they spend with their families. And the trials and tribulations of being a kid can oftentimes be disseminated by asking questions. And the PACE study has given us insight on how we should, address numerous. I didn't know, gambling in kids is a large problem. When you look at FanDuel and that the kids that are between the ages of 18 and 24 are the largest users of online gaming. And you set yourself up because you have a credit card that you're paying 18% interest and you make some erroneous bets, and all of a sudden you're in financial problems. And I used to think it was just scratch offs, but it's much more than that. So these, the information that we garner from those studies, and I tell everybody once again, read the PACE study and you can see Monroe County's results. What we've done in Monroe County is that through the Judges Roundtable, we get all the professionals together. We have all 4 school districts come together, and we have probation there. We have children and youth there. We have Judge Mark there. And it's an exchange of ideas of what is being done in Pleasant Valley and how it might work in Pocono Mountain. And what Pocono Mountain does, helps East Stroudsburg and Stroudsburg and everything else.
Toledo and Jacobson are here. Can they answer questions now? She would have, I wasn't, I'm sorry, it's a little late. I didn't know that they were here.
What question
Did
do
you
you have?
say that they were here at the beginning of the meeting?
No, because
Can I make a statement, Mr. Chairman?
of course you.
Okay. I'd like to say the county commissioners approved this grant and approved the budget for the grant and the compensation for the people we were going to hire. It's our agreement. We agreed to it and we offered it, and we were very glad to get the 2 gentlemen that are running the program, and they're doing an excellent job in getting people throughout the community involved in this process. And I'm pleased to say too, they're under budget on the compensation because we had budgeted X amount of dollars. We already have $100,000 freed up that wasn't used for that we can use for other things in this program. And I see it continue to go that way. They're going to bill as they do their hours. We're going to reimburse them at the rate we agreed to. And I still think it's going to free up more money along the way that we could use for marketing or whatever other activities we deem appropriate to improve gun safety in the county.
Okay, so this is not locked in. So you're saying that you can actually take some of that money and put it to the community?
Yeah,
When you say for the community,
I mean, if that's what
it
it
has to be for gun violence.
I
That's all.
I understand.
And whether it's gun locks that we distribute or, things like that.
You use the suicide numbers for this, as part to support this grant.
Mhm.
And none of you have even mentioned anything about suicide, the tsunami of suicides that we're having in Monroe County by white males. It's the tsunami. I've never in my life met anyone who committed suicide or knew anyone that committed suicide. In the last 3 months, I've been personally impacted by 3 people that committed suicide, young people.
Mhm.
So when we're talking about the community, that's who I'm talking about. People who are suffering, people who need the help.
Correct.
Okay.
And so when you look through those questions,
I'm all
When
okay.
you look through those questions and you see where people are you've been sad. Have you,
But-
when you look through the questions, okay? There's an awful lot of information that, is garnered from those.
Right.
And people can opt out, and they often have. You can stop taking questions at any time. You can skip over a question.
Money.
No, it's not about the money.
Money. I'm talking about $695,000
Correct.
that could be going to services, mental health, or, I'm not saying it shouldn't go to gun safety issues. I'm saying you're not addressing the problem that we're having
But
with this survey.
I just want to say, that's not how the grant world works. We were awarded that grant from PCCD. And so it was a competitive grant. That means that if we didn't, and we have Jen Strauch here, who was the grants manager, who actually wrote and applied for the grant. If she didn't do that, that funding would not have come to Monroe County. What would happen was your taxpayer dollars would have gone to another county who would have applied for that grant, and it would have gone to a different county or a different area in Pennsylvania. It is not an allocated funding that was going to go directly to Monroe County. That's not how grant works. The grant world works. We have some funding in the grant world that's allocated to us through state or federal level. That is not one of them. That is called a competitive grant. That means if you don't apply for it, you don't receive, your county does not receive that funding. Additionally, we received a letter actually from Governor Shapiro and Lieutenant Davis commending us. So one, the budget was approved by PCCD in addition to the commissioners. And they sent a personal letter to Monroe County commending us on this initiative, on this gun safety initiative. So your dollars cannot be allocated to Street to Feed. That 695,000 guidelines for grants are very specific. You can't just take the money that PCCD gives and just decide that you're going to use it on various other initiatives. You have to use it per the approved budget and per the guidelines of PCCD. So I want to stress that funding would have been non-existent to this county.
It still is. To the people is, it's going to consultants. The majority of money is going to consultants.
No, it is.
Yes, it is.
And so again, you don't, so that's not necessarily how it works. And so the numbers that you quoted in terms of the invoicing it was completely incorrect.
Excuse me, I got this from the records.
Yeah, so maybe we can go through that together, but
Oh, yes.
it's just, that's not how the grant world works. And I think you're looking at it incorrectly. And again, last meeting, I invited you, I gave you my card to please come to our
And I
office
will when I get
so
the
that we can
invoices.
sit down, and I haven't heard anything from you. But if you'd like to come to the office, feel free, and I will certainly be happy to break everything down to you. But I want to stress that 695,000 would not have come to this county had we not applied for it
No,
and
I
was
understand.
awarded by PCCD and Governor Shapiro for this initiative.
And there are certain guidelines within the grant on how you can spend the money. Okay? We can't just turn around and give it to a mental, MHDS or anything else like that.
That's not how it works.
We have to follow the rules of the grant.
But I still would like to see some of that money go into the community.
That's fine, but it is. It is. But I'm just saying, we have to follow the rules.
We can make.
Is there anything else, Dr. Tolino?
Make a quick comment.
Please.
And my only response will be to the commissioners. Good morning, my name is Dr. Toledo. I'm one of the co-chair of the Community Partnership for Gun Safety. This is Mr. Jacobson. We bill the county at a fee of $70 per hour. We have yet to bill the county for the maximum hours per week that we can possibly bill the county, because that's not what we're doing. We bill for the work that we do. So I don't want anybody to leave here thinking that Mr. Jacobson and I are splitting 690, whatever number you're quoting, for the total, which is the total number of a 3-year grant. So please understand, $70 an hour, that's what Mr. Jacobson and I bill the county for the work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
You can ask me the question.
Okay. Who's on the board, on the school board? Is,
Mr. Jacobson is on Stroudsburg.
when you are on the school board, working in your capacity as a board member, am I correct on that? When you're discussing and you're working, you worked, on discussing the gun program, do you bill for that? Do you bill for the hours for that?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And when you say, when you're submitted.
Now, when I go to, except for Stroudsburg, when I go to Pocono Mountain, Pleasant Valley, East Stroudsburg, and I present something in front of their school boards, yes, I do.
Okay.
But
And the
not,
invoices
not
are
as a, not
reflected.
as board president of Stroudsburg School District,
Okay,
as, co-partner in the gun.
just a question.
Wow.
And, you invoiced for $5,100 on April 11th.
We're not going to get into that now.
You're,
You're going to meet with Kwanzaa and we'll talk about it. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, if the work is getting done, I have no issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Deemer.
Howdy all, I'm Eric Deemer, the county controller. I have two separate kind of comments to make. First comment I want to make as the secretary for the Pocono Pride Coalition. I do want to say thank you for Dave. We did have a conversation about the flags going up. Very respectful, professional conversation. We both understand each other's sides of the street. So that's the first thing. I do want to thank the commissioners as a whole for approving the event and letting the flags go up. The coalition is very open-minded to making adjustments for next year to make sure that we abide by flag code as best possible. For the setup that we used the last 2 years, I ran it through some of my lawyer friends and some of my friends who were service members, and they agreed that it follows the spirit of flag code. We can have conversations and make adjustments for next year. Second comment, as county controller, as of this date, my office has received no requests for the invoices.
Okay.
But you can contact me or the open records and we'll talk to you.
I contacted Christine.
I sent all the invoices to the open records officer yesterday. He has them.
She has access.
And they are monthly invoices. They're not weekly invoices.
How come the checks are being made out?
It's just the payment dates that are our
Yes,
accounts payable. It's just a timing issue. It's not reflective of the time that they're,
So there's not an
Providing service.
invoice for each of these?
there is,
there
and they've been
is.
sent
Okay.
to the open records officer yesterday.
Now,
And
By me.
I was waiting for that to be responded, so.
I do want to mention that specifically with John, there was an issue with the post office and we had to reissue a check. So I'm not sure if you're seeing it listed twice as paid twice, but one of those checks, at least one of those checks was voided. And the two of them do charge $70 an hour and bill for about 2 weeks worth of work at a time. If my office receives an invoice today, it takes 7 to 10 days for us to pay it. So some of those dates you see, we received those invoices 7 to 10 days earlier, and the work was done 2 to 3 weeks earlier than that. So those dates are delayed.
So now you acknowledge that you received my request. For the-
No,
Hi.
no.
Eric, the controller, never received a request for it.
So I can make requests directly to you without going.
No. No, they went to Jen.
Yeah.
The open records person reached out to Jen Barclay, our fiscal director. She provided.
All right, so that in the future,
Everything goes,
my right to know request.
everything goes.
And also to be clear, the open record officer for the county works partial hours. It's 2 days a week, 4 hours each time he works. So he's not a full-time employee. So it does take time to get those records, for him to get here, to review them, to make sure there's not any confidential or other information that needs to be redacted to him. Sometimes he reaches out for legal advice on things. So it's not necessarily just getting a piece of paper and shipping it off to you. It is a process and it does take time.
Next one, go ahead.
Jen Studer from Polk Township. Thank you, Ms. Francis Smith, for explaining how PCCD is involved in this grant funding, because I think that is more the exposure, is that PCCD is who is receiving the millions, maybe billions of dollars from the state funding government.
No, they are the state.
It's in the budget. It's in their budget to be funded through PCCD. That part, I understand all that part. It's the unfortunate part of the grant process. But what I think is the sad part about this is that a $70 an hour to do something that many people would think that it's a volunteer type issue for volunteering for programs in communities. I mean, we're outreaching all the time as volunteers to do things for people. And I think that is just my point. When I hear $70 an hour, is the concern on that side, doing something that costs that much money when probably the large amount of middle-aged to elderly men who might be committing suicide, I think is an economic issue possibly. Back to the pay survey alone. If you felt the pay survey suggested there are so many issues, I think the answers are in that pay survey already. To ask someone once on a survey that you keep saying, yes, they can opt out of it, but if you've ever been a child in the classroom, which we all have been, there is peer pressure to answer questions and may not even be from the teacher. It just is peer pressure to feel like I have to do something. Asking someone once if they are sad should not be suggestive of somebody having a mental issue. I did attend Ms. Brown's mental health fair this weekend. It was well done. I didn't get to thank her office yet for doing that. But there are many areas that there is outreach that we do through the volunteer, through the kindness and love through each other that we all feel for caring for other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are. Thank you. Penn State.